Hello and welcome to the IGN UK podcast. I am your host for this week, Chris, and I'm joined by Welsh Wonders Gav.
Hello.
And Luke.
Hello.
I'm flanked by the Welsh and I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, that's probably worrying for you.
It happens.
How are you doing, fellas?
Very well, thank you.
Fantastic, actually, as it goes.
Luke's still doing the feedback, so
With my little highlighter.
I won't talk to him for the next 2 minutes.
It's fine. We know
That's
where we're
fine.
starting today.
Luckily,
we don't
the
need
opening
him,
topic barely involves you, Luke.
It's true.
To begin with. Gav, have you been up to anything exciting this week?
Very exciting, actually. Along with your good self, we went to see Interstellar live at the Royal Albert Hall with the Philharmonic Orchestra and everyone was there.
Everyone
it was amazing.
there. Who was there, Gav?
I wasn't there, was I?
You weren't, no.
Luke Carmali was not there, but
No.
in his place, they invited
Hans Zimmer,
Hans Zimmer.
Christopher Nolan,
Yep.
Michael Caine,
Aware of his work.
Jessica Chastain was there, though not on stage.
Didn't see a lovely lady.
So there's some movie people, then
Yeah.
some science people. Kip Thorne, who worked as one of the science men on the film.
Genius.
Brian Cox.
Genius.
And Stephen Hawking.
Bloody genius.
What is going on?
Double genius. Hawking came out
Yeah.
and introduced them. That was kind of awkward. Like, it was just, he was kind of there for show, wasn't he, almost?
It was kind of awkward, but I mean, it was. I've never seen Stephen Hawking live before, so it was amazing to see him there. Like see Stephen Hawking was pretty amazing.
No, I mean, the whole Royal Albert Hall pretty much gave him a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a bit unfair.
Why?
But he can't.
That's
no. But he did an introduction, and then
Yeah.
we had like a 45-minute talk about science with Coxey hosted it.
Yeah.
And then it was Thorne, Nolan, and Zimmer talking
Yeah.
about science and music, and it was interesting. They were talking about the fact that obviously Nolan's collaborated with Zimmer quite a lot.
Yeah.
And that as they get really far into the film, Zimmer starts getting involved with the making of the movie, and
Yeah.
Nolan starts getting involved with the music,
Yeah.
because they kind of look from each other's points of view, which I thought was
Yeah.
really interesting. Or was that Zimmer just tooting his own trumpet?
For me, because obviously it was a musical thing, so like the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra were there, I think. Is that who's?
I'm not
which
sure it
orchestra
was the Philharmonic.
Could be
No.
the symphonic.
Symphonic.
It was
of
the
them.
orchestra. A lot of the orchestra though are on the record or on the soundtrack. They
Right,
recorded
okay, yeah.
the soundtrack originally.
Did you say Brian Cox was hosting it?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I didn't go.
Why?
Because I find him smug and I do not enjoy his work.
Oh well.
He asked some great questions though.
Yeah. So
Good for him.
for me, having Zimmer there was actually a bit weird because there was like this science talk, but we were about to see a live score, and it was like they'd get really into the science, and then Brian Cox would be like, "So, how did that affect doing the music?"
Yeah. Yeah, it was slightly awkward.
Yeah.
When it got into the quite heavy science chat, I'll be honest, I didn't have a clue what they were talking about. When Kip Thorne was putting up these slides, he did a
Yeah.
PowerPoint in the Royal
It was
Albert
amazing,
Hall,
yeah.
and he did a diagram of a scene towards the end of the film involving kind of a couple of rooms, which I won't go into details with.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what he was talking about with that diagram.
I tried to keep up, and my girlfriend really did. So I had her try and explain it to me on the way home, and I still didn't get it.
The fifth bloody dimension.
It was like, but what was really
fifth
interesting about
dimension.
that? What was really interesting about that though is Kip Thorne said that he read the script and came to the script and was like, "Oh, that could never happen because hang on a minute, maybe it could." And then he went away and he was like, "Yeah, I wrote an entire book on it."
Yeah. It kind of he had to prove
my
Nolan's
God.
theory. Yeah, but it was really interesting. They were all such smart people. Like you
Yeah.
just felt like you were in the presence of greatness.
Yeah.
And then the music started.
Just amazing, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite something. A 60-piece orchestra.
Yeah.
And of course, so much of the music in the film is based around an organ, and so they had a guy playing the organ, and it was just the sound of that.
Yeah.
In the Royal Albert Hall, especially in a couple of the kind of action scenes in space, where, man, it just nearly blew the roof off the place. I thought.
Yeah. I thought it was really, really good. I think one of the stories that I had that they talked about as well was Nolan hadn't even written the script yet, or just written the script, and went to Hans Zimmer with this idea, and Zimmer went away and wrote this like tiny bit of music, and then after that, Nolan said, "Oh well, I better go make the film then."
Yeah,
so that was a really cool story.
And he made it quite personal for Zimmer, I think,
Yeah.
because his son wants to be a scientist, and it's so much about sort of fathers and sons, and he's got a daughter as well. I think he said he found it all very personal. But did you kind of forget that the music was playing at any point?
A couple of times
Live.
I forgot that they were there.
Yeah.
And I kept looking down. I was like, oh yeah, it's actually live, isn't it? Because it's just so amazing and it sounds incredible in there as well. But Yeah, I did forget a couple of times and go, what are they doing down there? Oh yeah, that's right, they're playing the music.
And do you think it made you see the film in a different light?
I don't think so, because I think I've seen it at IMAX, and the sound is pretty incredible there as well. I don't think it made me see it in a different light. The only thing that I did notice, and I think they talked about this in the talk, and I think that's probably why I noticed it, is that when they're on Earth, when they're on Earth, they're using all of the organ stuff, and when they go to space, it's mostly piano. Like there are some organ stuff used in the thing, but it's mostly piano in there.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I hadn't noticed before, but actually, yeah, when you do it, like it's a lot quieter in space than it is like on Earth. Which is interesting.
It is quiet in space.
It's pretty quiet in space. Yeah.
I actually like the film better, nothing to do with the orchestra, the second time. Because when I wasn't trying to keep up with the plot and try and understand what was happening, and just spent the film watching the relationship between the characters, I really liked it. Like I found it more moving the second time round, when I guess when you know what's coming.
Yeah, maybe. The only thing that was a little bit... I think the sound in the Royal Albert Hall is amazing, and the music sounded incredible, but I think the actual voice, some of the dialogue got lost now and again.
No, I agree, and that's what I mean. It was good that we'd seen it once before.
Yeah, because my girlfriend hadn't seen it, and there's a couple of times where there was a bit about the 3 planets with the 3 people on it. She didn't even get that at all.
No, the actual dialogue was very hard to hear.
Yeah, but I mean, you sort of I think you make sort of allowances for that, because there's an amazing orchestra. One of the coolest things though was the way, like, there's so much percussion in there, but there's no drums or anything. All the percussion is done on other instruments. So you'd have like the cellist sort of like this, like tapping the wood on his thing, or like the trombonist like tapping his thing.
Yeah. At first I just thought they were rubbish, because it looked like they were just banging their instrument incorrectly.
You don't know how to play it, do you, mate?
Well, I could do that.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd have a little chat to kick off with kind of live screenings and events, games, movies, TV that you've been to. So Luke, have you been to any ones that are particularly memorable?
Yeah, I mean, I was chatting with Krupa about this, because at first I couldn't remember. And linking into your music, I guess when I saw the London Philharmonic, the Royal Philharmonic at Abbey Road. I've talked about this before, when they were Nobuo Uematsu, who is the guy who does all the Final Fantasy music, when he was re-recording an album. That was, I think, like tail end of last year, start of this year, and that was great. Like, that was ridiculous. So I think that was special for me, just because it was playing songs from Final Fantasy X, which I love. But then in terms of actual proper event, I guess, we did an event ages ago when Sony launched The Last of Us the first time, where we were in a warehouse in Shoreditch, and all of us went down there, and we were all kind of involved in various different ways. And we'd posters from the game, like, the one with the wolf, you know what I'm on about.
Okay, yeah. Like the propaganda posters.
Yeah, the propaganda posters up on the wall and stuff. And we just kind of transformed it into like a derelict, abandoned warehouse. It was kind of part of a deal we'd done with Sony.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great. So that was kind of like a event. It was, because it's like Promenade Theatre, like PunchDrunk Theatre do a lot of that kind of stuff. It was very much like that. Just wandering around, and it was a chance to give lots of community members who liked Sony a chance to go hands-on with the game. But it just looked awesome.
It wasn't really a live thing. It was just in a warehouse with some posters up.
Well, no, because
I'd rather play the game. That sounded shit.
I know, it was really good. It was amazing. Like, just because we do so many things where we go to events, and you sit in a room with your headphones on, just playing a game for a bit, and then you walk away and turn off. And also,
I have absolutely no problem with that.
But this is exactly my point. We're too jaded because we do this, and it's so kind of like, I've got to go play another game now. Whereas
I'm not jaded at all. I love going to play games, but I like to go play games in the same environment that other people are going to be playing them.
Well, this was a community event anyway, so it was nice just seeing...
Pulling the wool over their eyes with propaganda posters.
A lot of them enjoying themselves. It's just quite nice. So that was quite fun. And I think they're kind of the main events that I've been to. I haven't been to any kind of, like you say... screenings where there's an orchestra. I went to ballet last week. Saw Swan Lake. That was good.
I've seen the orchestra, I think the Philharmonic perform at the Zelda 25th anniversary. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Because
it's coming back, isn't it? Symphony of the Goddess.
Yeah, I think so.
And there's a Pokemon one now as well.
Oh, really?
Symphonic Evolutions.
Yeah, that was really good. But I think I enjoyed this a little bit more because there's something going on all the time. So you're not just watching and enjoying the music. It was part of something else. It's part of like the movie. I really enjoyed that because I've seen like that same orchestra do like the best of John Williams before, and even though that is really, really good, it's like there was nothing on the screen. I kind of think I wish there was a bit of this film playing now.
Yeah, I got duped by doing something like that. It was a few years ago. Actually, I'll tell you what, it was 5 years ago because it was during the World Cup, the last but one, and I think it was as part of Meltdown on the South Bank and Massive Attack. were curating, and it was them doing the Blade Runner music live to the movie. So I went down all excited, little realising that it wasn't exactly that, because they weren't playing the movie. It was just Massive Attack reinterpreting some of the music from Blade Runner. Okay. And I know I'm supposed to like it, but I don't really love the soundtrack to Blade Runner. So I was just like, I'm a bit bored. I don't really like these tunes. I want to see the film.
There was nothing on screens or anything like that?
No, they had the odd bit and bits from the film, but it was, I left at half time, if I'm honest. I went and watched some football somewhere else. But I did see Guy Garvey on the way out and said hello to him.
Oh, there we are then.
He was smoking a fag. Because he'd sung in the first half.
Yeah.
Have you guys been to any secret cinema events?
Yeah. So I went to the Back to the Future one last year.
And what did you think?
It was amazing.
It was brilliant.
Like, I've been to a couple of like smaller ones. I saw like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in like a little prison. That was really small. And I saw the Warriors. Actually, the Warriors was a big one, but that was in a big fairgrounds, basically in a field. But the Back to the Future one was just insane. We've talked about it on the podcast before a little bit, but yeah, that was just mental. You went, right? This is your favourite film.
It's my favourite film, and it was brilliant. I mean, I think I was there on the very first night it actually worked. We will kind of, obviously I know a lot of our listeners had tickets and didn't get to go because they screwed up the first week, so that was a bit heartbreaking. But once it was up and running, it was fantastic. Like they really put in such a good, they'd done such a good job on it. I thought I really felt part of it, you know,
definitely.
To the fact that they're doing it at the Royal Albert Hall very soon, actually, with the Philharmonic Orchestra doing the score live.
Really?
I'm not going to go though, because I feel like I've had such an amazing Back to the Future experience. I don't think it'll be better than that.
Yeah, I've seen the same year, so last year I saw Back to the Future in a drive-through cinema as well, and it was hammering down with rain. So right to the end, where it's hammering down with rain in the actual movie, it was hammering down on the car as well. Like that was really cool to watch.
Do you think secret cinema is a good idea?
It's amazing.
Have you been?
I've never been.
You don't think it's that good idea then?
Well, I think it's a good idea. I think it's usually quite pricey, and obviously, certainly when I was thinking about going, they now seem to become a bit more loose about whether they let you know what the film is or what have you. Because I swear, back in the day, it used to be very much like, no, you're not knowing what it is.
They changed the policy.
It's called Secret Cinema Presents. So I think they still do some secret ones, but this is like a lot more.
See, this was my thing, because originally back then I was just kind of like, what if it's a film that I really don't like or really don't know? They did the Star Wars ones and stuff like that. I would have got I'd go to them because that's awesome, but. Because it's such a big kind of down payment as well. I didn't want to go, especially because a lot of these films I haven't seen. Like I remember they did, I think they did Blade Runner or something, and everyone's like, "Oh, it was amazing! They've got all this stuff from the film," and I'd be like, completely lost on me. I haven't seen the film. Like what? Like
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because it's pretty cool. Like with Alien, if you hadn't seen Alien, they turned a nightclub into a spaceship, and you're in a spaceship. It's pretty cool wandering around a spaceship. I went to the very first one actually. Paranoid Park. It was an indie film, and it was just like a couple of blokes on skateboards and someone as a security guard, and they did it in the arches at London Bridge. So it's amazing seeing it grow. Like I did the Shawshank one, which was a bit too intense actually. They treated you like a prisoner.
I think
I actually didn't enjoy it.
I mix up the Cuckoo's Nest one and the Shawshank one.
Did you go to?
Yeah, I've been to both, but I don't know. They're both the same one in my head now. But yeah, no, there was people going around like slamming you in.
Yeah,
the thing, and
I
didn't
like that.
Yeah,
I couldn't relax. Like I was on edge for the whole night.
The only one that I went to, the secret, that ended up being a rubbish one was Lawrence of Arabia, because it's not the kind of film I want to watch. Like in that kind of environment, but it's also not the kind of film that I want to watch sitting on a concrete floor.
No,
it's a very long film.
Quite a long
I agree. Alien was on a concrete floor as well, and Shawshank, it was uncomfortable chairs, wasn't it? We actually helped organise one once. We did it. We joined up with them to do one for Rock and Roller, the Guy Ritchie film.
Oh, really?
And all I remember from that night is I high-fived Superhands from Peep Show.
Job done.
Yeah. But probably the most fun one I did, it was they did, did you see, what's it called? The Anvil documentary.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, the rock band Anvil?
Yeah.
Amazing documentary about this band who never quite made it. They were so close and it just kept screwing up. And this is like 20 years on. They're all old men trying to get back together.
Bless them.
And the screening was, the documentary is great, really good fun and really quite moving. And then at the end, the lights came down and then just up in the balcony, you could hear this guitar solo and the dude from Anvil was there. And they did a
that's
gig.
pretty cool.
And the whole place just kicked off. Any others? I saw them do last year. Danny Elfman and Tim Burton do all the Tim Burton music live at the Royal Albert Hall. Yeah, that was good. And Helena Bonham Carter came out and sang.
Oh. What did she sing?
Not that good a singer. Song from like Corpse Bride and something from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Not really what she's known
She's not very good.
she's all right.
Wasn't she? She was Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd, though, wasn't she?
She's just
no one's
more
really
kind
singing
of.
in that, though.
She was just kind of adorable seeing her come on stage, and she looked really nervous.
Do you think it was her idea? She's like, no, I'm singing. It's like, Helen, you're not.
We have to do it together. That's the rule.
Yeah, you're not that great a singer. Well, I'm doing it definitely now.
Yeah.
Any other good ones?
I don't think so.
I mean, I
No.
mentioned PunchDrunk, but that's more theatery.
Well, that's the thing, because there's a lot of PunchDrunk type stuff where
Yeah.
there's like little quests and stuff at the Back to the Future thing.
So people who
Yeah.
don't know about PunchDrunk, basically, it's a theatre company. They take over a space, and it's Promenade Theatre. So you go in, and basically the entire performance takes place over various different floors, various different rooms. If you're in the right place at the right time, well done. But stuff's happening simultaneously as well, so you're never going to see the entire stuff, the entire performance. But my first one, I think, was the Mask of the Red Death I went to. And there was a massive ball going on, and loads of people in fantastic masks and everything. Or so I hear. I was 4 floors up, wandering alone through a cornfield of a warehouse. So I was like, well, it's
Cock
just
it
not.
up.
I just don't do well
Yeah.
in these scenarios.
Is it
So,
better or worse than Bum Bum Train?
I don't know what Bum Bum Train is.
Ah. You know,
I never did it. A friend of mine was in it.
yeah, I know people that are in it,
Yeah.
but I've never really asked them what happens because I don't want to know, because in
Yeah.
case I go.
What is Bum Bum Train?
Google it. Google
Google
Bum
it.
Bum.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to Google Bum Bum Train.
No, but it's like Fight Club. Like, you're not supposed to know anything
Yeah,
about it. It's
yeah.
all.
Okay.
It's a big secret.
Well, thank goodness we haven't mentioned it on the podcast.
No, I want everyone to Google it, and equally tell us what live events you've gone to that you've liked.
Yeah.
The email address is ignukfeedback@ign.com.
IGN_UK feedback at IGN.com.
We got to fix that.
What he said, not what I said.
Yeah, IGN_UK feedback at IGN.com. We've been working to fix it for a while, but it's one of these things. It'll happen.
okay.
Probably.
Moving on, has anything cool happened this week?
Yes.
Luke?
Now, controversial.
Why is this in the cool thing?
Yes, I knew you'd say this, mon ami. So Zelda on the Wii U has been delayed to 2016.
That's not cool.
I think it is cool.
Why?
Because the explanation given by Enuma was like, we finally actually kind of realised what it means. For the first time, we've experienced what it's like to have Zelda in a purely open world. And he's like, and our minds have just been blown. There's so much we can do. We're not going to rush this out. We are going to nail this. And I think that's awesome, because rather than, and this is Nintendo to a T, they never kind of succumb to the pressure. They're never like, oh, we must hit the deadline. We must turn the Wii U around now.
Yeah.
They really want to make sure that this is, the ultimate Zelda game. And by all accounts, it's kind of sounding like it might be the swan song for the Wii U, because now obviously they announced the NX.
Yeah, but nobody knows what the NX is.
No, but they're not going to talk about that till next year properly. And that's the earliest we'll be seeing Zelda. So I would be absolutely amazed if...
But nobody knows if NX is a console or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a
platform.
They've announced it. Well, they've announced it as a hardware type thing.
So you think it's good because it means it's going to come on at NX?
I don't know. I think it will come out on Wii U. I think people would be seriously peeved, seeing as they did promise. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like a Twilight Princess scenario where it straddled in a very...
Is this not bad news for Nintendo, like, and their shareholders and the company as a whole?
No, because, well...
What else they got coming out this year?
Just like for this year, like financially, surely a new Zelda would sell a lot and also sell some Wii U's.
So I'm
well.
gonna kind of show you behind the curtain here, but we're recording. There's a Nintendo Direct due tonight.
Right.
That has suddenly been announced out of nowhere, and they're doing it on April Fool's Day. So clearly they must be like, oh, we need to show them something. But there's Star Fox that they've still been mustering about and stuff.
A lot of people talking about possibly Paper Mario as well.
Exactly.
That's the big
there's meant to be
rumour.
mustering some new Paper Mario. The 3DS continued to do extremely well. I think that it's one of these things. The Wii U, it's not dead in the water. It's doing all right. It's got a strong enough back catalogue. Why rush out Zelda now? Because it would just do. People have been waiting for this for so long. I think delaying it an extra year.
Get out. Get out, man.
Nah, I think delaying it an extra year and also making sure that it really makes the most of it. Because
It's like that Guns N' Roses album that never came out.
but like
10 years later, and everyone
properly
had forgotten.
open world Zelda, that would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's good. That's why I wanted this year.
Yeah, it is good, which is why it's in the cool things that happened to Luke this week.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
Well, I'm putting it in there. So,
What else we got?
I had a nice thing happen.
Yeah?
I talked to a very, very old man. So
While you were feeding the birds.
Blade Runner is being re-released this week by the BFI.
Yeah.
The final cut of Blade Runner. And I spoke to them because I really wanted to do something around it and didn't know what, and said, is anyone available for interview? And they had a producer called Michael Dealey. So I kind of Googled Michael Dealey to try and see what else he'd done.
I remember this.
And I saw that he hadn't done a film since 1991. And I thought, that's strange. And then I looked at his age. He's been 83.
Does he live in London?
No, he lives in Santa Barbara.
They flew him over just for your interview.
He comes over a couple of times a year.
Oh, right, okay.
And so it was kind of...
Come on, it's like, we're not that.
So the time was right. So I wasn't sure whether to do it or not, but I thought, sod it. Like, this guy's... Like, he'd been involved with some amazing films like The Deer Hunter.
Oh, wow.
The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Amazing.
The Italian Job he produced. The original, obviously. And so he came in and he was just great, just such a lovely man and just great stories. We talked about Blade Runner for about half an hour, which Rich is obviously going to edit and have on the site by the time this podcast goes live. I'm not sure why he's sitting in there listening to us. We should be working on it. And we talked about other films he'd done. We talked about David Bowie being on drugs and looking like an alien when he made Man Who Fell to Earth.
Yeah.
Talked about the Americans not getting and hating the Italian Job.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just fun stuff about Blade Runner as well, like the fact that the fights that happened on set between the British crew and the American crew.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Ridley Scott had kind of said that he liked British crews better than American crews in a UK paper. And then someone had it in America when he was over there, and the crew saw it, and so they all had T-shirts made up, basically slating him. And the British crew had T-shirts made up slating them. And
oh my god!
And of course, the most famous speech in the movie at the end, Rutger Hauer's speech. He said that was totally improvised by Rutger Hauer.
No way.
Yeah, which is...
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's wicked.
So yeah, lots of good stories and like an opportunity to see Blade Runner again because I don't know, I'm getting more and more nervous with this sequel supposedly going into production very soon. And he didn't seem very impressed that they were making a sequel.
Is Harrison Ford in the sequel? No.
He will be. Yeah, they said he's going to come in towards the end of the movie.
Well, he's not doing well at the moment, is he? He keeps
but this guy said he'd rather not have two movies with the title Blade Runner in them. He said, I just don't think there needs to be another one. And equally, he said that if it's worth doing, why isn't Ridley directing it? Because Scott's producing it, but he's not directing. And he's like, I don't understand. If it's worth doing a sequel, why wouldn't he do it?
I guess so. I don't know.
So yeah, after the Prometheus debacle, when they're moving that into production, I don't know. Have you seen Blade Runner?
No, I've seen Prometheus though. I've got a great choice, haven't I? I've seen.
Go watch it.
And I actually only saw the Alien films so I could see Prometheus and hope it made sense. Nope, didn't help.
Are you a fan of Blade Runner?
I love Blade Runner.
Yeah,
but I don't. Now, I was trying to show it to my girlfriend the other day, but I didn't know if I should wait to go watch the final cut or what cut shall I show her?
The final cut's out. Okay. Like, it actually came out about 10, 12 years ago. This is just a re-release with like a cleaned up print. Yeah, that's definitely the version to watch.
Okay, awesome.
Because I think sooner or later you and I are going to do a video about the different cuts. But yeah, that's the one. It's just, it's all these little iterations, but you want certain scenes in it and you want the voiceover gone.
Yeah.
And the ending cut off.
Right.
So it's a less happy ending than the one that was originally released. And it's all there.
Yeah.
It was Total Recall that they re-released with Colin Farrell in, right?
That's right, yeah.
They remade.
They
didn't re-release it with him.
Just superimpose his head on.
Cut him out.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
So then the other cool thing that was announced, I think, which I can just see, are you going to agree with me on this?
This is awesome, yeah.
So The Witcher 3 is apparently going to take over 200 hours to do everything.
Yeah.
I think that's quality.
It's amazing, yeah. We played quite a lot of it the other day, and there'll be more on the site about it. But I saw this tweet yesterday, so one of the developer tweeted, somebody just tweeted him, just a normal person tweeted him going, how long is it going to be? And he's tweeting him back going, 200 hours if you do everything?
There's a depressing amount of like how that's my job done. Like I just look at developers like, who's tweeted them today?
Yeah.
So there you go.
So that's 8 days.
If you do everything.
Could you sit? I think someone in the office should sit down for 8 days, no sleep. We can bring them food and drink and just do everything and see if they die or not.
Well,
we'll video it.
Yeah, we've played about 6 hours of it, and it's massive to the point where we had a developer play some later stuff for us, and so we did this mission. We went back to sort of like the pub, sat in the pub. What happens quite a lot of times is like some guys will come into the pub, something will happen, you have the choice of getting involved or you can just leave it. Some guys came in, asked a question, and the choice was like either like they were basically starting a fight. You can either get involved or you can stop it. but you can stop it without violence, you can stop it with violence. I was like, it was the end of the day, I said, yeah, kick his ass. Like, so he killed him, kills one guy, and then you're like, okay, fine, that's the end of that. You collect some stuff. As you walk out, the guy who just died, his dad's standing outside with like some police going, he killed my son, arrest him. And you're like, okay, now you're gonna have to kill these. No, they arrest you, take you back, and then you're in prison. Now you're in prison, and then you've got to get a quest to get out of prison. When you get out of prison, that opens up another like line of like loads of different quests that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't got involved in that fight. You'd never have seen that if I just wasn't being a dick. The game is massive.
A lesson for life.
Yeah.
I think.
Is that not intimidating or off-putting when it's that
Ridiculously
big?
so, yeah.
But it's kind of like, so I mean, it's the Skyrim effect, right? It's huge. There's so much to do.
It's stressful.
But that's kind of the difference, because a lot of, I mean, you've obviously played more of The Witcher than I. The thing about Skyrim is a lot of it is make your own adventure, right? You know, you're very much like, you wander around the world, you find a dungeon, you want to go in there, and what have you. What you just said, a lot more branching quests. There's kind of some ambient quests, I guess, is how I'd describe it. Not very well in Skyrim, where sometimes things pop up.
Yeah.
Is there much more kind of branching choices and stuff like that?
Absolutely loads, yeah. And I think you won't have to make your own fun because there's just so much there. They outlined like a huge sort of plan for the game for us, because it's the last game that they're making in the sort of Witcher series. Yeah. They outlined their plan for it. It's mental. And if you're a Witcher fan, like, this is going to be the best thing ever.
And on top of that, there's 16 free pieces of DLC coming.
Mad,
like
absolutely mad.
Free DLC.
Yeah.
So like, well done, Witcher. Doing what games like how they're meant to be done.
Yeah, they showed us the entire map, and like I generally got stressed looking at it, just thinking like, because I almost
agoraphobic.
Thought, I don't want to play it because I've got a tiny bit of OCD, and I think if I play it, I have to play it like lots.
Yeah,
to do it.
And that's why I didn't go into Far Cry, because there's and like Assassin's Creed, I've got to do everything everywhere.
Screwed up.
I can't do it. I'm like Kilby.
We also had a couple of trailers drop this week.
Yep.
The third Mad Max trailer.
Yeah, I'm not watching it.
Have you watched it?
No.
Okay, moving on.
I don't want to. Like, I love the first two trailers; they were amazing. But I don't want to watch a third one. I don't want to watch a third trailer for something I'm going to see in a month.
See, this is why I watched the Bond one, just because.
The first one's amazing, yeah. But
yeah, what do you think of the Bond teaser then? We'll move on from the Mad Max trailer swiftly.
It went so well.
It's all right, though. It's all right.
I thought it was amazing. We did a teaser. We did a rewind theatre on it, and for such a small amount of time, there's a lot of cool stuff in it.
Yeah, in fact, there were 007 revealing moments in it, wasn't there?
Amazing.
Yeah. It's a good name for a video that no one seems to have watched. Glad we slaved over that one. But yeah, it was good because the producer, we did a set visit last week, and the producer Michael Wilson said that it was designed to be a puzzle, the trailer, that you could kind of figure out. And I think we figured out most of it. I mean, some things were obvious, but other things you kind of had to read between the lines or do your research.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like we're starting to get a handle on what the story will be.
I can't wait for it.
Yeah, and I just like the fact that it's kind of really delving into Bond's past in quite an interesting way, because very rarely did they do that in the movies. There's so much of it in the books.
Yeah.
But in the, especially, the original movies, it was just, on to the next adventure, shag, shoot, move on.
It's like my life.
It's really interesting, though, trying to understand the psychology of the guy, you know?
I'm really interested for it. And like, usually I don't really care about Bond, but Daniel Craig's one I really, really like. Especially Skyfall, I just thought was amazing. And
I like, I think the films work best when the villain is likable. Yeah. And Christoph Waltz just only plays likable villains.
Yeah. Like, really rooting for him in a weird way.
I know. He's so good at it that I think, it's got me suitably jazzed.
When is it out?
I believe it's October in the UK and then November in the States. I think that one we're getting a couple of weeks before the States.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
It always comes out early in the UK. Yeah. So that is exciting.
I'm super excited for that.
Yes. Anything else weird that you want to do now, Gav?
There's another cool thing that's happened this week is we got sent this drone, which we haven't really figured out what we can do with it. So we thought we'd film an extra bit for the podcast. So you might not even hear this on the podcast.
Yeah, if you edit it out, though, they're not going to hear that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm really living in
We're going down a hole here. So Rich is going to take it around the studio for us. I'm going to put it on the floor.
Rich is in our gallery just there. He's been waiting for this moment.
I cast some serious shade when this was done in.
Yeah, so we've got a drone.
Yeah, because it's cut my hands up.
Yeah, Gav cut himself on this drone. So can I just say for the record, I'm against this
section
right now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this segment already.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's going to happen, Gav?
So Rich is going to fly this drone around and see how it goes. So if you're listening to the podcast, then you should definitely watch the video. This is a little reminder that we do a video of this podcast all the time.
Oh, that's very good. It's like a trailer.
Exactly. Little trailer. So if you want to see what is about to happen, then watch the video. Rich, start the fans, please.
It's not working.
I knew this would happen. I don't know why we do this.
Why isn't it working, Rich?
Quit droning on.
Hey,
Rich, come inside here. Maybe it's like a frequency thing. You got it.
Oh god!
Right, so this is going to record stuff as well.
This is effectively dead air.
Yeah. Well.
And dead air is a crime.
Okay, it's on.
Okay, there we go. There's the drone.
It's about 800 quid. So actually, if you're looking to buy a drone,
Rich, light.
Rich, see if you can get it going past the camera.
I imagine this sounds like an angry beehive to the listeners of the podcast.
That's it.
I'll tell you what it is doing. It gets quite hot in here, and it's actually making quite a nice breeze around my ankles.
It's really close to your face.
Yeah, it's getting near our heads.
I'm not sure I'm quite.
It looks like it's going to fire on Luke now.
It does. Yeah. I'm not sure I'm quite as sold on this.
Like, my hands are still cut from it, so if it comes near me, I'm actually going to punch it, I think.
Okay.
But I mean, basically, it's almost like they've made a drone that you could buy and use yourself. It's not going to be like, it's not like super expensive.
As opposed to use to kill people.
Well, yeah, because they'd always been really, really expensive, but this is about 800 quid.
Oh, yeah, pocket change.
Well, it's alright, isn't it? And you stick your iPad in it, and you control it using like this amazing little controller thing.
It's vaguely terrifying when it hovers up and then Rich turns around and it kind of looks me in the eye.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's going to fire on me.
Like it knows. I'm not sure if I like it. I mean, but when you pick it up as well, you think it's going to be super heavy. There's a lot of like polystyrene on it because obviously it needs to fly around.
Yeah, it's made of fluff.
Yeah,
just out of interest, how long does this item go on for? Where we watch this drone?
Have we done enough of this?
Yeah, I reckon we've probably done enough.
I think we've probably done enough now.
Can you do a safety landing over by me so I can switch it off as well? And I don't have to get up. Oh no.
No, I would just land it now because there's dead air.
There we go. Bring it down.
No, this is not going to. That's nowhere near the.
Go on.
Come on, Rich, you can do this.
Go on, Rich, you can do it. Not on me, just by me. That's it. Excellent, Rich.
Good. Well, that's time we're never getting back.
Thanks for sticking around doing that, Rich. Listeners, thank you very much for listening to that
Angry
drone.
bees.
To humouring us.
Moving swiftly on.
So, bad things that happened this week. Other than that, obviously, seamless.
That's my low light of the week.
That is actually my low light of the week. So thanks, Gav, for insisting we do that.
Wait till you see the footage. It'll be good.
I was here.
If Rich remembered to press record.
Okay, so Hugh Jackman says that Wolverine one last time is what he did. He had
You're not explaining that very well.
No, basically Hugh Jackman posted.
Oh, so why is this in the shit thing that happened?
Because I want him to do more
forever.
Yeah. So a while ago, Hugh Jackman said that he never wanted to give up playing Wolverine. He wasn't going to go full Downey Jr. on us, was he? He wasn't going to abandon us. He was the one we could trust. And now he's basically gone back on that and posted on Instagram an image of him with the of his Wolverine claws with the caption, "Wolverine, one last time," leading many to assume that the next film, which will be Wolverine 3, will be his final outing as Wolverine.
The Wolverine films are absolute gash.
Oh, they are. I absolutely hate them. But weren't there mutterings that he might get involved back in the Avengers in some way, shape, or form in like all the Civil War? Or whatever it was.
It's more fan speculation, and to be honest, he's the biggest fan, and he's the one that speculates on it. he
on Instagram.
He says I spoke to him, and he says he'd love to fight Hulk. He says he wants to see a Hulk Wolverine fight on the big screen. He said recently to Yahoo, I think, that he'd like to see him and Tony Stark having some banter because he's quite grumpy.
Hulk and Wolverine in the comics are some of my favourite stuff. Like when they team up, it's so good.
Yeah, they're both angry men.
Yeah.
I mean, do we just think that he's just kind of doing this then to gauge interest that he can then be like to Marvel or whatever, eh? Come on.
What contract negotiations?
Yeah.
And maybe that's him. I don't know. I can't see him stopping playing the character anytime soon.
No.
So if he said one last time, I mean, that's him. He's shooting X-Men Apocalypse now.
Exactly.
Isn't he?
So that's about that, surely.
Well, apparently, according to the story, he one last time was in reference to that. I don't know. Lucy wrote it.
Yeah, I would have thought that he's starting to shoot Apocalypse. He's
But
doing
there's
his scenes for
mutterings
that.
but then I heard mutterings he isn't in Apocalypse. He's not in Apocalypse. He's just doing Wolverine 3.
Okay.
And he's not doing any more cameos.
If he leaves, if he stops playing Wolverine, who would you like to see play Wolverine?
We actually did a superhero show on this.
Oh, really?
So, he's dead. The person that I want to see play
Not
Wolverine.
helpful, Chris. Who is it? Not helpful.
So a lot before the superhero stuff happened in the late 80s. You know what we've got now. They tried to get a Wolverine movie made. The X-Men movie made starring Bob Hoskins as Wolverine.
Shut up.
And I think that would have been amazing.
You sounded slightly aroused then by that.
He's the right height and he's tough.
Oh my god, that would have been awful. I really want to see it.
Yeah, me too.
If we have any really talented people listening to the podcast who can make us like a fan trailer of Bob Hoskins as Wolverine, please make that.
I choose really modern day Coors Light Jean-Claude Van Damme, I think.
I don't know. Well,
he's got the hair.
Who was it who was going to play him originally? Was it Dougray Scott?
Yes, it was.
Why did he have to pull out?
Well, the story was Mission Impossible scheduling, which may be true.
Who's going to play, sorry?
Dougray Scott was going to play Wolverine, but had
who
to
is
pull out
kind of
because
wolf-like in his appearance.
Imagine, like, that is a big one. That is, I always remember, like, reading, you know, when you read a story about a band that, like, the drummer left just before they hit big, like, that happened with, like, Green Day. That's, like, one that sticks in my head. Do you reckon Dougray Scott is like, X what? No, I'm doing film with Tom Cruise, so, like, that's me set for life, mate. So, yeah, do your little comic book thing.
It's a John Woo movie. Who would you like to see play Wolverine, even? Andrew Lincoln. We had quite a bit of mail say they'd like to see Andrew Lincoln play him.
Which one's Andrew Lincoln?
He's in Walking Dead.
Oh God!
To be honest,
he was in Teachers, right?
We did loads. Me and Dan went through loads. Just go and watch Superhero Show.
Yeah.
Just go Google that.
Excellent.
I can't think of any that we said off the top of our heads.
Good.
Another rubbish thing that happened this week then is that Kojima's logo was taken off Silent Hills and PT's website. So Silent Hills is the Guillermo del Toro game that was working on with Kojima, Guillermo del Toro, and Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead as well. So it was an amazing trailer last year. Did you see the trailer? Because I was thinking about this the other day actually, because I know you're not that into video games, but I'd like you to play this game to see what you think of it.
I'm up for horror and I'm up for GDT.
I mean, it's generally like one of the scariest things I've ever experienced. Like game, film, anything. It's horrible.
You don't need to say any more. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
But yeah, I mean, it was an amazing collaboration. And then because of all the Kojima stuff that's going on with him and Konami, his logo's been taken off. His logo's been taken off the website. The Fox Engine logo is still on, so they're still making it, still working on it. Whether or not Kojima's involved, I don't know. Which means, if I was Guillermo del Toro, I'd want to be working with Kojima. If Kojima dropped out, that would then suggest that Del Toro, because he's quite a funny guy, Del Toro, and he's quite
particular.
Yeah, I mean, he walked away from his own game because it wasn't working. So
he walked away from The Hobbit when it wasn't working.
Exactly. So I don't know. I really wanted to see a Guillermo del Toro game, and this is the closest we got to it. If Kojima walks away, does that mean he walks away? I really hope not.
You know what really worried me about this? Because Konami released a statement. So it's the same kind of thing that happened with the Metal Gear stuff.
Yeah.
But Konami's statement when it came out very specifically said, and the statement they sent to us about this, it very specifically says, you know, it's just part of rebranding. We're just doing it as part of thing. Hideo Kojima is still working with us on the Metal Gear franchise. You know, please stay tuned. Be excited for further announcements.
Anything about Silent
Hills. And it says he's working with us on Metal Gear, and it doesn't mention anything to do with Silent Hills.
That would be really.
I think
sad.
I might have Del Toro's email address. I'll try emailing him.
Drop him a line, see what he says.
I think it's from years ago, and I don't think he ever responded to me ever. I only emailed him maybe once, but
it was a picture of yourself in the just lying up. What's up? What do you think about that?
Like a headshot. Hey, why not? You know, Hellboy, Hellboy 3.
Okay.
That makes me sad.
Yeah.
What also makes me sad. Now I'm going to run through this whole story because this has been weird.
Okay.
This has gone on for years, hasn't it?
Yeah, because I don't know if anyone else cares about it. I always write it up on IGN, but I don't know if anyone else cares. I like Queen. I like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
They're going to make the movie. They spent years trying to do it, and Sacha Baron Cohen was going to play Freddie Mercury. And I remember when that news broke, everyone was like, "Yes, that makes sense." Like he's got flamboyant, he's charismatic. He can pull
like
this
him
off.
as well.
Facial hair.
He can totally pull this off. Because you've got to be larger than life.
Yeah.
And Sacha Baron Cohen's larger than life. Then they parted ways, the film and Sacha Baron Cohen. Now, as I understood it, it was because they weren't going to do a warts and all, because Freddie did a lot of drugs, you know, he's had a wildly promiscuous sex life, really insane parties, and I think I heard that it was going to be, you know, a very sort of less exciting version of that story.
Okay.
And for that reason, Baron Cohen didn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
Now, looking at some quotes from back then, apparently, the band member said at the time the reason he left was Brian May said, in the end, we felt that his presence in the movie would be very distracting. What led us to that conclusion was the last 3 movies that he's made, The Dictator, Les Miserables and Hugo, which is quite damning of his last 3 films.
Basically, yeah, they were kind of...
And Roger Taylor said, we didn't want it to be a joke, we wanted people to be moved. So I think
he's a professional actor playing characters.
I think their implication was it's never not Sacha Baron Cohen when you see him, which I think is unfair, as you say. Yeah. I think he disappears into his characters.
100%.
It's just quite broad, a lot of the stuff he's done.
Yeah,
but
I guess so.
That's no reason to think, it's like saying Peter Sellers can't act.
Yeah, I mean, I guess their fear is that he might be a caricature rather than maybe a character, is
like Sacha Baron Cohen is one of the smartest comedians working, I think. So I think he wouldn't have done it if he was going to go like, I'm going to dick about doing it. I'm sure he was going into it thinking
he takes everything very seriously.
Exactly.
And
that's
so
really disappointing.
Ben Whishaw got the part, which was less of an obvious fit. But nevertheless, he's a really good actor. Yeah. No reason why he couldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
Well, then this week, the news broke. It was the band's manager was being given an award, and the quote that I think the Daily Mail quoted, they said, "You've probably followed the saga of the famous Queen Freddie Mercury biopic, which has been developing in Hollywood for the last 7 years. An important breakthrough is that we have now managed to persuade Sacha Baron Cohen to write, produce, and direct the movie.
Excellent.
And he has also agreed to star."
Brilliant.
So we ran that story. That story went everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the next day, Brian May went on his blog and said, "Yeah, not so fast." He was joking. And then I went back and looked at the original quote.
Yeah.
The original quote, which the Mail didn't print, was, "We've now managed to persuade Sacha Baron Cohen to write, produce and direct the movie, and he's also agreed to star in all 4 major roles." He was joking, but they cut that bit off and made it sound like it was true. And everyone covered it.
I got a lot of time for that.
Oh, mate.
So basically,
it's like, you've missed out a bit here. I think people might misconstrue this a bit. Should we put all of it, or just cut it off? Cut it off. It's fine.
Yeah, it works.
Right.
It works.
So basically, Sacha Baron Cohen will not be writing, producing, directing, or starring
in all 4 major roles.
The Freddie Mercury movie, and we don't know what's going on. As far as I know, last we heard it was Ben Whishaw. So I know that made me sad because I think that's going to be that could be a really fun movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, I saw them at the O2 when they came with Adam Lambert.
That's not seeing Queen. That's not seeing Queen. That's seeing Adam Lambert, who's a very good singer, but who's not Freddie Mercury.
It was.
I watched
amazing.
the really good.
It was amazing.
The really good BBC documentary about Queen. I think, obviously, I was born in 1985, so came to Queen. I didn't come to Queen till much later.
Yeah.
And thought, this is amazing, really good guitar music. Then I watched the documentary, and when you realise that people really went off Queen. Massively, and just thought that they just weren't cool at all, and they were sort of even though they were hammering out these albums, people just sort of
through most of the 80s, certainly the last 5 years of the 80s, from It's a Kind of Magic onwards, they were a bit of a joke, really. Punk came and destroyed them a little bit, and they were just seen as part of the establishment when they'd originally be anti-establishment, and then Wayne's World helped bring them back, and it was voted the best song of all time, Bohemian Rhapsody, and then the last album they did, it was kind of, and especially around the time that Freddie was dying, they were kind of back then, and then they've never really gone away. But I remember that because I was buying albums when I was a kid. It's a Kind of Magic and The Miracle and all that kind of thing. But that's a bit of sad news.
Yeah, it's sad news.
Have we got any happy feedback?
We do. So actually, the first piece of feedback is from a long-time listener called Alex Simmons.
That confused me when that came through.
Yeah, so friend of the podcast, owner of the podcast, Alex Simmons. So he said, after all the chatterbollocks about Bloodborne on this week's podcast, I thought it might be a good game to play with my 6-day-old son. We tried Mario Party 10, but it was too scary, so hoping this might be more suitable. Alex Simmons from Sleep-Deprived Limbo. Bless him.
Aww.
So that's where Alex is at the moment.
Yeah, he's with a baby.
He's with a baby.
So that's our Alex Simmons.
That is our Alex Simmons.
Are you sure, though? It could be another Alex Simmons with a 6-day-old.
It definitely is our Alex Simmons because it has his little face on the Google
It came
Mail.
from his personal account. Is he not checking into his IGN account then?
No,
he's deliberately not checking it. Why would you?
Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's something you'll learn eventually, Gav.
Yeah.
It's taken me years to learn that. I try not to go into emails in evenings or weekends.
I've got it on my phone.
Yeah, I go in evenings and weekends, but if I'm on holiday.
Also, it says A. Simmons 73. Was he born in 1973? Jesus Christ, Alex old, man.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't slay him when he's not here.
I really because
that's the best way to slay him. He can't defend himself.
As evidenced by this, he is listening. So,
and it's pay review week.
Yeah, something else you will learn. But never mind. Well, if you have a chance to now. But
all right, moving swiftly on then. We've got an email headed Parental Guidance from Dylan Wynn. Recently, I watched a very brief discussion on telly about a Cheshire school that was clamping down on underage games playing. If the school discovered a child displaying behaviour representing violent or sexual themes found in video games, then they would report to their parents and possibly the police. I do think that more could be done at the retail end, both on the high street and digital distribution. I used to work at a retail store and I witnessed kids too young to play an adult-themed game take the game to their parents in order to buy it. Yeah, it's basically asking, what do we think about that? I was on the radio talking about this.
I got an email about that as well from James, who says, with the recent news lately of school teachers reporting parents of those children that play overage games, got me livid. Not at the subject itself, as I agree that teachers have a duty of care, but at how tunnel-visioned and out of date certain parents and reporters are. Yeah. And he talks about going to shops and hearing shop assistants telling parents about the age rating, and the parents saying that they'll play with the sound down, or all his friends have it. Yeah. And he says parents in this case have to blame themselves.
Definitely, yeah. So I was on BBC Newcastle talking about this, and the two presenters, absolute idiots. Like, they had no idea. They were like, why are you playing video games in a dark room? I was like, well, I'm not playing video games in a dark room. They're for kids, aren't they? Like, why is there all this like violent stuff in them? They're for kids. I'm like, I don't really think they are for kids anymore. And I was trying to have this conversation with them. They just didn't understand. They were so out of touch. And
they don't want to understand because it's less of a story then.
Yeah, exactly. Well. Yeah. And I came on just after another guy who said that he lets his 9-year-old play anything because he said there's a trust there between me and my kid. I was like, I don't trust you to have a 9-year-old kid. Yeah. And he's like, oh, there's worse stuff on Emmerdale than there is in Call of Duty. I haven't watched Emmerdale for years. No. I'm pretty sure that's not true.
Yeah. No, it's a lie. And, you can draw the comparison with films as well. That problem comes and goes in terms of censorship. And I'm totally anti-censorship in every way, shape and form. But equally, it's just got to be down to the parents.
If you're a parent, that's your job is that. I mean, as he mentioned, the whole legal case of it is it's illegal to sell a game with an age rate to someone under that age. Yeah. But there's nothing. The other point. There's nothing illegal with them playing it. There is nothing in the law that says.
Yeah, but how do you police that though?
That's the point. There's nothing in the law that says a 10-year-old can't play. It could be it could be viewed as abuse or neglect or something like that.
Okay, right.
And that's what the teachers are saying. But for example, if a 15-year-old's playing a Call of Duty game and they take it to social services, in the law, social services then has to make a call. Is that neglect or is that because there's nothing actually technically illegal there because the PEGI rating is only for retail.
They've been sold it. I think this is the point as well. It was I don't understand how parents can say, oh, I didn't know it was a video game. The PEGI ratings look exactly. We've got some boxes and stuff here. The PEGI rating looks exactly like it does on movies and film posters. Yeah. So
because they standardised it, didn't they?
Yeah. Recently. So parents can't live by the thing. Oh, I didn't understand. It's like it says 15 or 18. If your kid's not 15 or 18, shouldn't be playing that game. You definitely shouldn't be buying for it.
And I mean, we've even got that. A lot of the consoles now even have built-in parental controls where you can lock it so if there's a certain age rating, you can't play it. If a disc goes in, they can't play it. Yeah. And it's just it's tough because I think parents maybe need to be educated, and obviously I don't think the kids are going to be the ones to educate them.
No, definitely.
But it's one of those things that these broadcasters, rather than going out and being like, oh no, well it's the game's fault, they should be like, if you're concerned about this is how you can avoid it happening.
Don't buy it for your kids.
There's a crazy case in America recently that I heard a fair bit about because I knew some people vaguely involved in it. But there's a film called The ABCs of Death 2. Yeah. Not surprisingly, it's a sequel to The ABCs of Death. Yeah. I've reviewed both movies actually on the site.
I love the first one.
Yeah, 20. How many? How many letters are there in the alphabet?
26.
26 short films. Yeah. All horror, all horrific. Each beginning with a different letter of the alphabet. And a teacher played that, it was like the end of term, played that to her pupils who were, I don't know, 12, 13. That's a bad and she said she didn't know what was in the movie. She didn't know the content of the movie.
She thought it was ABCs.
But apparently she played it like 3 to 2 or 3 classes during the day, and she was in the room, and yet she didn't pick up on. I mean, it's really shocking. Like,
they're grim.
I've watched it sitting with the filmmakers at the premiere, and all of us, it's like trying to get through it is quite hard work because everyone's trying to top everyone else, all the other directors. But I believe that teacher should have been heavily reprimanded and potentially lost her job.
Definitely lost her job.
But she's gone to prison, which equally I think is way too much. Like, I think that's going to another extreme.
How long?
I don't know, it's like 60 days or something. Like, I wish I brought the details with me. But so my friends Ant and Tim produced the movie, and I've got to, through the horror circuit, I've got to know a lot of the directors, and they're all like, Christ, like, we feel responsible for this woman going to prison. They're all like, we're against what she did, but we're also against this
going to prison.
And it's the same, that the video nasty stuff in the UK in the early 80s. There's a great documentary directed by Jake West about video nasties, and back in the early 80s, if you rented, this is a fact, if you rented Evil Dead to someone over the age of 18 because it was banned by the video nasty things, you'd go to prison for longer than if you sold them cocaine.
That's amazing.
Evil Dead, which is now considered one of the great horror films.
Horror comedies as well.
Horror comedy.
Yeah.
You know, there were some nastier films than the video nasties, but nevertheless, it was considered a much worse crime to sell that or rent that to someone over 18 who's an adult.
You see, that thing is, though, that is idiotic. I mean,
that's an extreme.
Because no one's at fault there. The teacher is definitely at fault.
Teacher's definitely at fault. It's just, I think the you know, what she's been... how she's been dealt with by the court is maybe too far.
Well, one of the things about this, so basically teachers are going to social services about this and they go, okay, this kid's been playing video games. I think one of the, like, out of all the comments I saw, the comments that were the worst were people going, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time for social services. It's a waste of time. The police is a waste of time. It's like, I kind of do agree with that, but at the same time, what can you do? If you know, if you've got a kid coming in going, oh, I've been playing this game last night where I shot a prostitute or something like that.
Yeah.
What can the teacher do? Because then, you know, I've got friends who are teachers and they say that some parents are absolute idiots. You're like trying to explain to them why they can't do this or they can't eat something or why they can't do that. And parents are just like, I have no idea.
It's a very complex issue as well, because we know as well, when you're a kid, if you're told you can't do something, maybe you'll find a way of doing it. Or for me, it was seeing films, because games weren't quite as violent when I was young. Well, they were violent, but not as graphic and realistic. But we'd all try to get the video nasties. My friend Giles, who to this day, like from the age of 14, he would get hold of video nasties for me to watch. I was 14, he was like 60. He works for a film company now. I'm like reviewing films that he just horror films that he distributes. You find a way, and it's
that's the thing, you do always find a way. And I think, but also I think, like, you know, I like to say that you know your kids, because the guy who was on the radio before me said, look, there's some things I won't let him play, there's some things I won't let him watch, but I know what he's, you know, there's a trust because I know what he's going to be able to handle, which is fair enough. And I think, like, my parents sort of had that with me. Like, I watched American Werewolf in London every single day from like the age of like 7 to like 9. I carried the video around me all the time.
At least now we won't know what went wrong.
I was going to say, suddenly it all falls into place.
Like, I carried the video around me all the time, and like I would take it to school and try to watch it at school, because I was obsessed with the film. I was absolutely obsessed with it. But then I showed a kid who came over to my house. I showed that to them, and the parents went absolutely mental at my parents. Which at the time I thought, I don't know what their problem is. But that's completely right, because he really couldn't handle it. And, like, he was having nightmares forever.
Well, it's one of those, like, I mean, I was playing Mortal Kombat from when I was quite young, from when I was about like 7, but my dad played it with me, and so, you know, it was one of those things. But I do remember being, I think, 11, and it was end of term in school, and everyone had brought in DVDs and stuff, and someone had brought in one of the Austin Powers films, and their mum had and like someone else's mum had basically said, you are not to watch those films, they're filth, and he basically put his hand up and was like, we can't watch that because my mum says it's filth, and so we didn't watch it,
and everyone laughed at him.
Well, we were just kind of like, right.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, it's like it's one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get lots of emails from parents as well that listen to this.
That'd be really good.
It is quite interesting. It'd be good to get. I mean, we can say all this. None of us are parents.
That's the thing
that we know of.
Well, Alex is talking about playing Blood Bowl with his 6-year-old. So, I mean, what? Like, that's an entirely different thing.
It is a very interesting, complicated issue, which I think we can talk about more down the line.
Definitely.
Yes. So cool. The next one then is about PS Plus versus Games with Gold, which is Xbox's one, from Daryl Sharp, friend of the podcast. So he said, after a massive build up to April and Xbox boasting about doubling the number of games for gold for April, what are our thoughts on the continuing inability to release at least one AAA game for the Xbox One?
I think that Microsoft are insane. I don't understand how they can get it so wrong when PS Plus again is so amazingly right.
So just to remind people, so this month for April coming up, I believe it's Child of Light and Pool Nation FX on Xbox One. And then there are 2 indie games on PS4, and then also Never
Dishonored
Alone.
and Dishonored.
Yes, but that's PS3.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
So it's and then it's Never Alone. It's this whole thing. There don't really seem to be any AAA games that I've really seen on either. Which I think is not that surprising at this stage. In the game.
Yeah, there hasn't been that many that they could release. It's usually like a year or something like that.
And
afterwards.
a lot of people are saying, "Oh yes, no, but they were doing it 9 months after on PS3," and I was like, "Yeah, 9 months after the game release, but 6 years into a cycle." It was they were very much eking the last bit of life they could get out of it. I don't think it's something we should expect to see anytime soon.
Nah, I'm alright with that.
So yeah, no. Plus the games they get, actually, I quite like.
Yeah.
Because a big AAA game like Dragon Age or something like that, I'll happily go and buy that for money. Smaller indie games where I'm a bit like, I don't know if I'd try that. I wouldn't put down cash for that. But if I get it and I like it, personally, I think it actually is more likely to broaden my horizons by making those games free.
That's fair enough.
That's just my personal take on it.
I'm much more inclined to buy like a smaller indie game than I would be like Dragon Age or something like that. Like, I don't know.
It's cheaper, I suppose, isn't it, as well?
They're usually like everything that's coming, all the indie stuff that's coming out on PlayStation. It's so interesting. They do some amazing stuff with it.
Yeah.
I'd much rather that.
I want to play Ori and the Blind Forest, but
yeah, it's amazing. It's really good.
That's my next.
Good.
Have you got
next?
a fifth one there?
I haven't.
For
Maybe
I've
it's underneath
skipped
here. No, he hasn't. It's right. It was underneath my number 8.
Cav.
Duck Hunt from Reuben Allen. Hi guys, I've been a listener and a big fan for a long time, but I've never written in. My name is Reuben, I'm from the UK, and I'm currently traveling around the world with my girlfriend and loving it, although I do miss my Xbox. I was also wondering if you guys have done much traveling / soul searching, and if you got any funny stories about them. Well, one, I wouldn't call it soul searching. If you do, you're probably an arsehole. Reuben.
Arsehole searching.
Yeah.
Which is a different thing.
Yeah, I do quite a lot of traveling with work and stuff. I'd just been to Iceland.
For what?
Saw the Northern Lights. That was good.
You went to Australia as well. You've been to...
Yeah, it was less good. Did you go travelling after uni or anything like that?
Yeah, I've done travelling.
Yeah,
I've been all over the
travel
place.
boy.
I'm not going to just think of a story now, though. There are many stories.
Yeah?
Many wonderful times.
Lots of toilet stories.
No, they more happen in the office.
I think it's amazing that he's listening to the podcast while he's travelling. That's really
that's
nice.
really cool.
Yeah, I think that's really nice.
I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm travelling, though.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing to do when you can't be asked to read and you've got long journeys.
Yeah.
Long bus and train journeys.
Also, I guess if he's, it doesn't say where he's travelling, but if he's, travelling to somewhere like Thailand, so it's probably nice to keep your a foot in the water of technology or something like that if you're island hopping, I guess.
Yeah, so you have kind of a clue what's happening when you get back.
Yeah, but then if you listen to this, then you'd probably be like, oh shit, I just wish I was playing Bloodborne.
Yeah. Or not, because it's stressing the hell out of us all.
Rather than lying on this amazing beach or something like that.
Yeah.
What about you?
Sort your priorities out.
Did you have a gap year or anything like that?
I didn't have a gap year either before or after uni. But
I would, if someone said who's had a gap year, I would just put you down as a gap year.
Because I'm inherently quite a lazy person. If I stop, I'm like a shark. If I stop, I'll die. Right. So I just won't be able to. I've been travelling. I've been places though. I've been places.
Yeah, I didn't have a gap year. I just went away for 2 months here, 3 months there.
You went away
between jobs. Between jobs.
I was away for 18 months.
Trying to break into journalism means there's a lot of unemployment.
Yeah.
Time.
Where did I go?
I didn't have to be unemployed for that long.
I went to South Africa for 3 weeks at Christmas, which was quite fun.
Yeah.
And then Mexico for 2 weeks last year. That was nice.
These are just holidays.
Yeah. It's not really travelling.
It is really.
I've got. Enjoy the rest of your trip, though.
Yes.
Keep,
Tell us where you are.
Posted. Yeah. I've got an email from Kyle Barrett. Good old Kyle Barrett.
Yeah.
Who says, on last week's podcast, Ross asked you which video game world you would like to visit. We've done this item a million times.
Yes, but he's just saying which one because we asked. Yes, but we have done it a million times.
We have done it a million times. If I were to pick one, it would be Assassin's Creed Brotherhood's Rome.
That's it.
Because he's actually in Rome.
Oh, okay.
I'm currently in Rome. And while it is not the Renaissance,
we need
the present day suffices.
Do you remember how I was still highlighting it at the start? It's possible I may have not.
Well, I mean, great stuff.
That was quite cool.
Everyone's travelling around, so.
Well, but this is the point. I quite like because I swear before my days on the podcast, there used to be a map where when people wrote in from, and you used to.
Yeah, but Carl wouldn't count because he's actually on holiday there rather than lives there.
So you're a fraud.
But I think you should dress up as one of the characters from Assassin's Creed, take a photograph of yourself in Rome, and send it to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we will embed it in next week's podcast.
Definitely.
That is a promise, Kyle.
Yeah.
So Brock Smith, who is from the Grand Canyon State. Well done, him. He says, I have to put in my 2 cents when it comes to Tom Cruise running. So you were talking about Tom Cruise running, I believe, last time.
We were, yeah.
And you said he looks like a man who's never run before.
Yeah.
Nah, he's brilliant at running.
So, this is the discussion.
Ridiculous.
Well, we are not having this discussion again. I will not get taken into this. He says, I can't say it doesn't look kind of funny, but there is a certain appeal to it. Possibly it's nostalgia. He also says, thank you for saying the One Direction was shit at go-karting. He found that very funny as well. And he also is okay with Batman Arkham Knight getting delayed by a few weeks. The last thing he said is he's looking for suggestions for a PS4 wireless surround headset. I don't really use gaming headsets. Turtle Beach.
Yeah.
Turtle Beach is
I don't want to endorse any that I haven't played with, and I haven't played with any. So
I do. I had one for Destiny that was a Turtle Beach one that was very nice.
Oh, okay. Good.
But basically Google.
Ian Ware, who says, can't believe that you described the Arrested Development 4 series as utter shite.
Again, guys.
That was me. The way all the episodes interlinked was brilliant as usual. It was really good, but the rest of it just wasn't funny. Tobias trying to make a Fantastic Four musical, Job joining Entourage, George Michael invented Facebook. Every time I watch it, I see things I missed before. I would say Duckham, but I'm that angry right now. Shame on you, shame. Those bits you mentioned are really good. I didn't find it enjoyable. I didn't think it was funny enough, and there wasn't enough. What I love about Arrested Development, the first series, is all the characters interacted, and they'd obviously filmed these during all of their other engagements. So there's a lot of time where, who wants to watch a 45-minute Lindsay episode? Nobody is the answer.
Especially with a new face.
Exactly. No.
I didn't get through it.
Yeah, neither did I. I got to episode 8 and I was like, do you know what? I can't be honest.
I feel bad saying that.
I haven't started it out of fear because I was sad where it ended, but now I'm happy where it ended.
I feel bad saying that because I have been working quite hard to get someone from Arrested Development on the podcast.
Oh, yes.
But I'm guessing they don't listen.
Well, I'd like to see him or her.
Him or her, good. I'm working on it though.
This is the one they listen to go, they want me to go on this. Let me just check out. Or last week's where
Gav literally goes to town.
It could happen in May. No, actually, when I've met the person, it didn't. It started off badly with me just a bit too pissed and slating their film a little bit.
Right. We should just stop talking to people.
Oh, we're not good at it.
To each other.
I shouldn't be allowed a drink. This is from Aled John, and it's entitled Tradell Time Bar.
Hey.
And he says, just an idea for the podcast now that it's in video form, but maybe you could bring back Trailer of the Week, but call it Tradell Time Bar for obvious reasons. Just suggesting and would like to hear your guys' thoughts on it.
I don't know what that is.
So
it's a very good
idea.
Email.
So Tradell Time Bar was ages ago when.
Can I actually explain this? Because
yes,
I was away when this happened.
Right.
And I came back, and everyone would say Tradell Time Bar time, and I thought I was being stupid, so I didn't say anything. And it was months until someone wrote in and asked what it meant, and then Alex explained it. I was like, bloody hell, I've been sitting here just thinking I was an idiot or just not in the in crowd.
So they used to do this section of the week, section every week called Trailer of the Week, where they'd play a little bit clip of it, discuss it, talk about how good it was.
Cool.
And one week, Alex, stuff was going a little bit mental with everything else. And he was like, right, okay. So now time for Tradell Time Bar. And just
his brain melted.
And he just said,
to it back, he does say Tradell Time Bar.
Time for Tradell Time Bar, as opposed to Trailer of the Week. And it's just and everyone's just like, are you having a stroke?
I did think it was unfair that we called it that every week for months. And if you hadn't listened to that episode, you didn't know what we were talking about, like me.
I think it was on when we did the 200th podcast or 250. I think that was one of the. Yeah. We selected that as well.
We did. It was a highlight.
So it's definitely in 250.
I think bringing it back wouldn't be a bad idea. I feel like in part it went away because it was slightly more editing.
Yeah.
For the video, you guys, and so we thought, let's just drop that.
Well, we've talked about I think we're going to have a serious discussion about because we've all got ideas for these funny little features we're going to do every single week, and I think your one is amazing, which is the this week.
Not yet.
But I think there's a couple of people that come up with some really, really good features. So I think we're going to have a bit of an overhaul of stuff. So
let us know if you wanted us to do a trailer of the week. I mean, we talked about the Bond one, but we could play some of it. I remember Kills was always worried about doing something visual for the audio one, but I listen to a lot of podcasts where there's audio stuff happens, and
They used to kind of
it is what it is.
Like, kind of like trim it down so you didn't have to listen to the entire thing. It would just kind of be a couple of the key sounds.
Yeah. We'll
music,
leave that with us, but do let us know what you think, lovely listeners out there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what's coming out this week, though, in terms of games and films.
Cool.
What games?
Just run through these. Cause
there's not a lot. So Dark Souls
2 if you want it. Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, which is amazing if you want that. But if you don't play Xenoblade Chronicles and you don't have a new 3DS and you can't play it.
Yeah, you need a new 3DS for it. It's really good though. So if you do get it.
I was going to run through mine as well because The Water Diviner, Russell Crowe, whatever's kidnapping Freddie Heineken.
I want to see that.
I think it looks boring. Watch it and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
While We're Young.
Really want to see that.
I'm back. Don't fancy it. Blade Runner's back in cinemas. Everyone go and see that if you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, go and see it.
I need to see that.
And the big one, Fast and Furious 7. Boom. Am I the only one around the table that's seen it?
You are, yeah. I missed it.
It's good. If you like Fast and Furious 5
it on Monday
and
at the
Fast
IMAX,
and Furious
I can't wait.
6, it's good. I didn't think it was as good as those two, but it's very much the same formula. You know, they've upped the ante.
Yeah.
What about the tribute to Paul Walker that everyone's going on about?
The tribute to Paul Walker is very well done.
Excellent.
And they've asked everyone not to say much about it, so I won't, but yeah, you will leave with a real lump in your throat. It's very brilliantly handled and very. It wasn't what I was expecting. I don't think it's what you'll be expecting. Okay. But yeah, it's dumb fun.
Cool,
but very fun. I can't wait.
That's kind of our level, if we're honest. So
yeah.
So that's it for this week. Any more?
Nope, not at all.
And if you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch at IGN_UK feedback at IGN.com. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for listening and watching, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.